The sky is so pink. How pretty. Hello guys, very excited to welcome you guys back to another course vlog. Today we're at KGPA and we're gonna play one of the usual nines, but we're also gonna play another nine that I think I have played once before, but I honestly do not remember. So it's the Forest 9, which is the third 9 here at KGPA, and if you didn't know, KGPA has 27 holes and that's why. But I've never really played this course, I definitely do not remember it, so let's go have some fun. Go see a brand new golf course, play some golf. Welcome back to the vlog, and today we are at KGPA's Forest 9. So this 9 is usually the walking 9, that's why it's not usually played. But today we're out here and I'm going to show you guys what this course looks like. So this course has actually been renovated, and that is why the grass here is actually different compared to the two other courses which play off cow grass. But as you will be able to see later on, the cow grass has definitely kind of grown its way into this course as well. And that is just something common because if you've watched my other vlogs where I've talked about cow grass is just very strong, and if it's in your surrounding areas, it's gonna attack and start taking over. So let's see what this course looks like. We are starting with this par 4, and if you haven't already noticed, we've got an upgrade for 2021, which is going to be the scoring up on the right hand corner. And I'm not gonna lie, it took me an additional hour just to put this scoring up and to figure it out. So I'm not sure if I will be doing it for every single vlog, and I also forgot to put the par of the hole, which is what I should have done. But I hope you guys bear with me. And let's get started with the first hole, first tee shot. Par 4, downhill, dogleg right to left.
Shot. Better.
So even though this hole is a dogleg left, you definitely do not want to cut the corner too much, because even though it is a short hole, the more you go towards the left side, the more you're going to be going towards those trees, and this hole does slope right to left as well. If you have a rangefinder or some kind of GPS system, shoot out there or towards the right side. There are many trees, obviously just choose one, find out how far it is, make sure that you can't reach one of those trees and aim in that direction versus trying to hit a draw on this dogleg left, because you definitely do not want to get stuck in those left trees because there's just so much space down the right side. After the tee shot, as you can see, I hit it a little bit over, so I had a chip. It was just off the green, but because it does have a bit of a cow grass feeling, I felt that I should have chipped it, because cow grass usually is more receptive towards chipping and you can be more aggressive, but the chip just took a weird bounce and rolled up quite a bit, so I was left with about a 4-footer for par. After that, we're on to hole 2, which is a pretty short par 4. It is uphill, so it's playing a little bit longer than what it seems, but it's definitely not a long one. As you can see, all the tee boxes are even pretty close to each other because it's just one giant tee box. So immediately I did notice that the grass on this tee box is very different, and I think you can tell that it's not the cow grass that you normally see at KGPA. So it was quite nice, but the greens were still running a little bit slow this morning. So we will see how it goes with the rest of the holes. For this hole, it is a dogleg right. I felt like I should hit it a little bit towards the right side, especially because, as I said, it's a short hole. And I did overfade it a little bit and ended up hitting the cart path.
Hit the road. Hit the road.
So I am fine, I'm over here, and because I hit the cart path, I actually ended up with a much shorter shot. I only had 58 yards to the green. As you can see, the grass here is very different because this is clearly cow grass. So even though it was 58 yards, I was almost hitting like a full 58 because I knew that it was going to be pretty thick. And as you can see, based on the divot that I took, I hit more ground than I hit the ball. So the ball did not fly very far on that one, and I still had about 33 feet to go because of that. So this hole also has a very long green, and it looks so deceiving, especially from where I was chipping, because there was a bunker in front of me. I felt like there wasn't much green to work with, but once I walked up there, you can actually be so much more aggressive with this hole because it's just a very long green. And because of the conditions being very wet, obviously the ball is just not going to roll that much, so you could have definitely been more aggressive here. Even with the putt, I could have been more aggressive as well. But it is the second hole. I'm still getting used to the speed of the green, so we will take a tap-in par there and move on to the third hole. The third hole is a par 5. It goes a little bit downhill and then it goes quite a bit uphill after that. So as you can see, there is a cart path down the left side, there's a bunker there, and there is hazard down the left side as well. Even though there is a bit of space out there, you definitely want to make sure that you hit it more towards the right side. I would recommend hitting that flat building out there, the one that you can see. It's pretty long, not the tall one but the flatter one. Choosing a target around that area would be a good aim. So for my tee shot, I was aiming there, but I hit a little bit too big of a draw. Obviously though, that was a pretty safe target, so even with the draw, I am still on the fairway. For the second shot, I didn't really know how far I got. It was still a really long ways to the green, but to the bunkers there, it was within reach. And from where I was, because I was on the left side of the fairway, those trees on the left side do feel like they're coming in a little bit. So I definitely could have made a better choice here and not hit it through it, and I don't really know why I was going for through it. This par 5 is uphill, so it does make it look like it is pretty long, so I feel like that could have been a reason why. And also, if you can see, the grass is very wet, conditions are just very wet, it's just not really running that much. So I mean, I can understand why I decided to go with it through it, but coming back to it, I think I could have definitely went with something better, such as a hybrid or a 5-wood, just to make sure that I would be safe for that bunker on the right side, so that I could aim at it and trust my draw. Versus right now, as you will be able to see, I am hitting it through it, but because I was obviously trying to avoid the left side, as you can see, there's nothing much on the right side, but on the left side, if I'm not mistaken, I think it is an OB. So obviously I was trying to make sure that I did not draw it too much, that I got it into the OB. So with the 3-wood, I kind of heeled it a little bit, so I didn't hit it very solid. Face was a little bit open, so it just went a little bit right. And obviously I just wasn't very comfortable with the shot. I mean, I'm not in a bad position, I just definitely could have made a better choice. Even with a hybrid or 5-wood, I think I would have ended up in the same position that I am in now. Distance-wise, obviously, maybe not in the rough, maybe in the fairway, which have been better. But either way, I still just have a 9-iron to the green. It is uphill, so I am taking more club. Just hitting a punchy 9-iron out there. Couldn't really see where the pin was with relation to the green because it is a little bit elevated. And there was a bunker on the right side, so I hit it more towards the center, which resulted in the ball kicking a bit left. But I still had an uphill putt for birdie, so this was my putt. And it was a decent putt. Again, just could have been more aggressive. The greens are very slow, so it wasn't a bad putt. The line was actually good, it's just that it was too soft. But it's another tap-in par, so we will take it and move on to the next hole. Hole 4 is a par 3, and as you can see, it is quite a bit downhill. But despite that, I'm not taking any off for the downhill because the pin is actually over the water hazard. So you do want to make sure that you carry it enough. And the water hazard comes in towards the left side of the green. Not only the left side of the green, but basically anywhere from the pin to the left of the pin. So that is quite a big space that the water hazard comes in. There is a bit of space right, but obviously the pin is actually pretty close to the right side as well. So you don't want to hit it too far right because then you're going to have to be chipping. So I did just play the full distance because I wanted to make sure that I got enough carry to make sure that even if I did hit it towards the left side, I would be enough to carry that water. So that makes my green bigger versus trying to hit it to this pin and hit it towards the right side and potentially either hit a bad shot, go in the water, or hit it too far right and have to chip. So even though I missed the tee shot a little bit, as you can see, I'm still on the green. I carried the water and I have a putt for birdie. Even though it is a long putt, obviously, we always want to take into account if we miss what is going to happen, what's going to put us in the best position, especially because I'm a draw player, so when the water's on the left side, I have to take all this into account. So putting for birdie here on the 4th hole. It was a good putt there. I finally got the speed right, even though the line was a little bit off. It was definitely a decent putt from that distance, leaving myself with a tap-in par on this par 3. I find that when you have never played a hole or a course before and people tell you that the hole is long, you just have a tendency to want to swing it harder, want to swing it faster. And I mean, obviously, it's just human tendency, right? When you see a long hole, in fact, it's not only long, but there's a giant water hazard in front of the green, you immediately think, okay, I need to hit this really far because I don't want to... First of all, you don't want to have to lay up. on a par 4, and second of all, you want to be able to hit the shortest club as possible into the green. But the mistake here is that we forget that when we do that, we bring more hazards into play, and I think if you guys watched my video where I played off the black tees, that was something that a lot of you guys noticed and something that I had to pay attention to as well, and that was the mistake I did here. This morning, my swing itself wasn't feeling 100%, and yet I was trying to hit this really hard, and that resulted in this shot that just went left. Fortunately for me, this hole does slope left to right, so there's definitely more space on the left side. However, because of that, I'm not only not on a flat lie, but I also ended up much shorter than I would be if I just hit a smooth and made better contact with the ball. So I always believe that there is a difference between wanting to crank it up and wanting to just hit a fairway, and I do not think that the long holes are really holes that you should try and crank it up. In fact, I think it's the short holes that you maybe can reach the green that you should crank it up, because then even if you miss, you are still close to the green, versus the long holes where really you just really need to find the fairway. So for this shot, because I was down slope, I was hitting more club because I wanted to make sure that it had enough carry to carry the water in front of the green. But I ended up hitting it a little bit too good and ended up over the green. As you can see, it's not a bad shot, though it is downhill and going towards water, so I felt like this was going to be quite a speedy chip. Because of that, I did decide to do a chip where I would open my club face a little bit more. Now this is not a flop chip, but this is more of basically it's not going to go very high, but it's going to go a little bit higher, which will help it land a little bit softer, versus if you were to hit a low chip, which if I were to hit a low chip here, I don't think I could land it on the green. So landing it short on cowgrass courses are not my favorite thing to do, because then you don't really know where the ball is going to bounce. A great example was on the first hole where even though I hit a decent chip, it just bounced way off, and that can happen on cowgrass. So I much prefer hitting it a little bit higher and taking more of the grass out of play. So I think that it is very important to understand the way you play different grasses, because sometimes you do need to attack different courses with different grasses differently, not only because when you hit it, it feels different, but because you'd want to avoid certain things. So for instance, if you're on a course with cowgrass, you obviously want to avoid going into the rough. For this par 4, it is a short par 4, it's only 307 yards. It's a little bit uphill, but really not much. But there isn't that much to it. Well, this is an example of a hole where you can basically hit it as hard as you want, because there is space left and right. So if you were to miss it, you would not be in such a bad position. Obviously, it would be better to be on the fairway, because either way, it's always easier to hit from the fairway. But as I said before, these are the kind of holes that you can go for it more than the long holes where you're going to leave yourself in a rough and trying to hit a hybrid or even a wood out of the rough. Because this is not a long hole, I only had 101 yards left to the green. It was an uphill green, and as I said, because I've not played this course before, I didn't really know what the green looked like. So I didn't really know where was the best place to hit it. I hit a decent shot, and I actually got lucky to have hit it more towards the left side, because the carry on the right side is a lot longer because there's a bunker in front of the green. And even though my friend who hit a good shot in that direction, well, it seemed to me like a good shot, it actually didn't reach the green. So you clearly need to carry it a lot more if you go towards the right side. But because I hit it towards the left side, I left myself in a good position, gave myself an uphill putt here for birdie. As you can see, I just did not read the right line. It did not break at all, and it was pretty much a straight putt. Ended up with a tap-in par again on this hole. Let's move on to hole 7, the par 5, probably the most interesting hole on this golf course. So for the tee shot, there is a bunker left and right. So basically, you have to choose one of those windows on that building and basically aim at that. Or from this angle, actually, I was aiming at that tee box marker right in front of me. So yeah, I didn't really know what was down the left side or what the second shot looked like. Basically just trying to get it on the fairway and give myself a good look at the green. But little did I know, you couldn't see the green. Basically from here, I had no idea where I had to hit. It just looked like if you hit anywhere left, you were going to be dead. So I just decided to hit a 7-iron and be safe, because it wasn't very far and it is quite a bit downhill. And basically there's no fairway down the left side, so you do need to make sure that you hit something that's going to be, first of all, going straight, and second of all, going straight. because as I said, it's not a long hole, so you really just want to get yourself on the fairway and leave yourself with a good place to approach the green. Obviously, this is not a place that I'm going for the green. I'm not hitting a wood because it is still pretty long. So if it's a layup, just make sure it's something that's going to go straight and going to be safe. There is nothing worse than hitting a layup and getting that layup shot into trouble. So as you can see, I only have 101 yards to the green. Basically, anywhere you lay up, you're going to have a downslope shot, so just anticipate for that. I mean, you can try and go for the green actually because of how severe the downhill is, but it is a really narrow hole, so I wouldn't recommend it. It's just not really worth it. As you can see here, the left side is basically all OB. So there's really no point going anywhere left or bringing that into play at all. It's not a long hole, just hit a good layup shot and then put yourself in a good position and then go for the green from there. So after that, I only had a 4-footer left for birdie, so this was my birdie putt on the 7th hole. So we've reached hole 8, which is a decent length par 3. The pin is actually all the way behind today, that's why it's feeling a little bit longer. And this green actually has 3 tiers, so with the pin position, you definitely had to play more club because you had to climb the slope. And because the greens are pretty slow, you can be quite aggressive in it and basically hit it up there so that it will climb the slope, because anything short, you're gonna be left with a pretty long putt. So I was hitting a 5-iron here, and I was aiming a little bit right because the pin is left, but I straight pushed that pretty far right, so definitely not where I wanted to go. And as I will find out later, definitely not where anybody wants to miss this, because I actually ended up with not much space to chip. Basically, I had to go over a bunker, and the pin was actually on the right side, which was not what I thought from the tee box. So I kind of short-sighted myself essentially, and main goal there obviously was to just get it on the green and give myself a putt for par. Especially when you're in trouble and you've short-sighted yourself, you just need to give yourself a putt coming back because you do not want to be chipping again. First goal, I think, is to carry the bunker. Second goal will be to make sure that you choose a good landing area. I think the perfect landing area would have been at that slope over there, as you can see right behind me right now. But again, that is just a very small landing area that you are trying to attack. So if anything, just make sure you still give yourself a putt on the green. So for my putt for par, it wasn't too bad because I did end up leaving myself with an uphill putt. Obviously, uphill putts are going to be a lot easier than a downhill putt, even on these greens, especially on these greens, because I feel like when you have an uphill putt, you know that it's slow, you can be more aggressive, versus if you have a downhill putt but the greens are slow, so you're kind of in that odd zone where you're like, do I hit this harder or do I just try and let this roll and get in the hole? So over here, a bit of an uphill left to righter, it was still about a 9-footer, so a decent distance for this par putt. So we have reached the 9th hole on this golf course. This hole is a bit of an uphill hole, and I will be honest, I should have shot the bunker on the right side because I didn't know how far it was, and I felt like I could reach it, which on the other hand, if I think about it, because of the uphill, I don't think I could have. And I think that would actually have been the perfect target for this hole, the left side of the left bunker probably. But I wasn't sure if I could reach it, and I was trying to hit it down the left side of this fairway, which from this tee box kind of just already leads you in that direction. So you definitely want to go more towards the right side of this fairway, because from the left side, you're kind of left in a not really ideal lie. It's not very nice. And because this entire hole is uphill, you do get an uphill but kind of downhill lie at the same time, which is kind of those awkward lies where you don't really know if it's going to go with the upslope or with the downhill. I actually hit a good shot there. I mean, it was good contact. Just because of the upslope, it drew so much, so I ended up being in the bunker on the left side. This bunker basically has no sand. It is very, very hard. So what I was trying to do here, the pin was actually right after the bunker, so I didn't have much room, so I knew that I probably wasn't going to get it very close. Main goal here was to just get it on the green, shut the club face a little bit more, hit it almost like a chip, and just let it do its own thing. And with the bunker and sand condition, I actually hit a really good shot there, gave myself a chance for making a par. So I still had about a 6-footer, so it wasn't a close one, but it was still a putt for par. And unfortunately just didn't give it enough, so it was a bogey on the last hole, but let's move on.
Kayu lelaki ke perempuan ah? Shot. You've done it. Shot. Mas. Great, buddy. Oh, one more, buddy.
I literally have mud on my face. But yeah, this is what you call laziness.
Why not going that way? Oh, wrong side.
What distance?
What you get for being lazy? It's the wrong club. I want to change.
Another one, huh? Oh, you wanted to change.
Wrong club.
Shot.
Wow, this is
Good one. Boom. Fine.
hey, now I go right. Where's the draw? You
Turn,
go
turn.
right.
Yes, yes.
Wrong call.
Nice shot.
Falling over.